Today is the big day. We're going to be starting on the RM250 project. I'll be getting hands-on with it today and tearing it completely apart. So back here we have a 2001 RM250. Looks like we had a ghost over there. Handlebars were turning or something, but RM250, and I'll be working on this bike over the next couple months. And when it's finished up, you guys will be pretty mind blown. So today we're tearing it completely apart, and we're gonna go through and figure out what is all damaged on it. So I'll be fixing up this RM alongside all of you that are doing the Team Prime bike build contest. So essentially I'm giving away $1,000 to whoever can make the biggest transformations with their bikes over winter. So you have 2 more weeks to enter, and you have until April 15th to finish your bike, so plenty of time. So we're gonna have a bunch of fun, build some cool bikes, and just connect with each other. It's gonna be a blast. So to enter, you go down below in the description and head over to the Team Prime bike build contest page. So you're gonna do a before video of your bike to show the condition, and then a during video to show how far you took it apart, and then an after video to show off all your hard work. So head down below, hit the link to the Team Prime bike build contest to get all the details. So I'm gonna give you guys a little example of what your before video should look like to enter the contest. So first off, you're gonna pull up the video that I announced the RM project. It is called The Next Project. You're gonna play that. This is basically to prove the date. I wanna keep it fair, make sure everyone starts around the same time. And then you're gonna do a little walk around of the bike, kind of show the condition that it's in. Do a little spin around. You can get as detailed as you want with this. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. You can record this with your cell phone or whatever camera you have. Quality does not matter. You won't be punished for a lower quality video, just as long as we can clearly see the bike. And then try to keep it under 1 minute. So go submit your entries, guys. This is gonna be a blast. All right, enough talking. Let's get to tearing this baby down. So whenever I get a bike without a top end like this, obviously I can't see if it runs or not. So I would like to check the spark before I start teardown. I'll be able to turn it over here. Just gonna protect the cases so that way the rod doesn't bang against them. Throw a spark plug in, ground it out, and I should have a pretty good idea of what kind of condition the electronics are in. I saw a couple sparkies come out of there, so we should be good, but it was pretty tough to kick it over fast enough to get any spark. You gotta crank these over pretty quick to generate any type of spark. Now the next thing we'll be doing is draining out any fluids. I don't think, there's no radiators on this bike, so don't need to worry about coolant, just gear oil. Geez, that's crusty. I have to get a hammer on it. Some crispy looking gear oil there. Got a little bit of coolant in there. Looks like it hasn't been changed in a while. Just hopefully there's no metal chunks that come out. So there's supposed to be, 750 cc's worth of gear oil in there. And that's all that came out. So probably not even half of 750. I don't see any big chunks of metal or parts of gears. Nothing like that in there. It's a super thick oil. Thank God, or else I'd probably just drop this bike off at the junkyard. All right, let's get this thing back up on the stand and start ripping into it. Now, the first thing we're gonna rip off is the seat, gas tank, side plates, rear fender, subframe, airbox. Thankfully, most of that is just sitting on there and it's not bolted down. All right, here's where we're at. Got the back of the bike torn apart, but I did notice that the tab for the subframe was welded on. Looks like it had been broken off at one point and fixed. And we've got all the parts over here. So when I'm taking apart a bike, I like to label Ziploc bags, put the bolts in just to keep everything organized. Now as far as parts go, we have a FMF silencer here, kind of beat up, mounts are kind of jacked up on that. Now on this bike, it actually had a RM250 airbox, side plates, rear fender, subframe, and seat. So the airbox isn't in too bad a shape, just grimy. Plastics are all beat up. Now for the subframe, they had to do quite a bit of welding to get this to work on the RM. You can see it's all welded up right there. On this side as well. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of stuff being all welded up, especially with kind of a janky exhaust mount there. So I might keep the concept of an RMZ tail on this bike. Not sure yet, but if I do, most likely I'll buy another subframe and airbox, have everything professionally welded and done up right. So you guys might have noticed I have a different scissor-less stand here. This one is from Tusk. Pretty sweet unit. It's got some casters on it for moving around the shop. Got a foot assist for letting it down smoothly. And biggest thing of all, it doesn't leak like my old stand over there. That thing was kind of a junker. So yeah, 150 bucks, pretty killer deal on them. I believe they might be sold out from Rocky Mountain already, but if you want to pre-order one, I will link them down below in the description. So a couple things about the stand. You can lock the bike down with these hooks so it doesn't fall off. And then obviously it's hydraulic. You can go up and down with it. It goes all the way up to probably like chest height. So you don't have to bend over, work on the bike. Saves your back. Probably one of my favorite things in the entire shop. Now, what to attack next? Since I'll be pulling the bike completely apart, it really doesn't matter which end I go from. I've personally found it easiest to start the rear end, get that completely apart and off the bike, then do the front end, and then the engine last. So right now we're gonna rip off the rear wheel, chain and sprockets, brakes, rear shock, linkage, and swing arm. The axle was a little crusty in there, but we were able to get it out without damaging it too much. I think it's salvageable, but that axle block is just hammered. One thing I noticed is the swing arm plates came out of here, but they weren't actually even screwed to the swing arm at all. So looks like those screws just found their way out on their own. Now, most of the time, the bolts for the rear master cylinder have Loctite, and they are an Allen head, so they like to strip out pretty easy. So what I like to do is hit them with a little bit of heat, just a little zap with a torch right there. You don't want to damage the master inside, and that should loosen up the Loctite. Now, using the torch and the impact didn't break it loose, so I'm going to use an impact screwdriver. It's got an Allen bit on here. Get her in place and whack her with a hammer. Yeah, that thing is fully stripped. I'm gonna see if I can get the bottom one. Man, both of these are being pretty lame, both stripped out. I'm gonna try a different method here. All right, so I've got a Torx bit that will barely fit in there. I'll have to pound it in. Usually gives a really good grip on the screw. I'm gonna give this thing a little bit more heat this time. I really need it to break loose. Sweet. That's easy enough just to rip that screw out with a pair of pliers. Heck yeah. That trick always does it. Now, if there's one area that I always get kind of worried about when I'm taking apart a bike, it is the swing arm pivot bolt. Now, it's kind of tucked away in there. People forget about it, don't really grease it, and it's always being exposed to water and dirt. So it's very common for those things to be seized in place. Let's see what the verdict is on this one. This one is free. That's a huge relief. Now, usually when they're seized, you gotta cut them out. You gotta take a Sawzall, cut them in half, or somehow get this thing underneath a press and hydraulically press it out. But this one, we are good. The deeper you dig, the more of the crusties you'll find. This thing is really gonna need some cleaning. I noticed something with the swing arm here. It's a little bit different than what I remember the 01 swing arms looking like. I believe this rear section, I remember being a little bit different. So this might be a 02 up swing arm. Not quite sure on that. I should probably check the VIN on the frame. Make sure it's actually a 01. Now, to tell the year of the bike, you just look at the 10th digit in the VIN. See here. That is a 2. This might be a 2002. I'm gonna have to Google that to confirm it. After a quick search, looks like this is indeed a 2002. Crazy. I don't know if the 02 is any better than the 01, but we'll roll with it. Now, the next thing we'll be tearing into is the front end. So we'll be pulling off the front wheel, brake system, forks, triple clamps, plastics, handlebars, controls, and all that jazz. Man, I've never seen something so crusty before in my life. I'm gonna have to pull this caliper off. All right, that should give me a little more room to get some heat on this crusty bolt here. Gonna have to bust out the big boy for this one. There we go. Sweet. Bike's just kind of coming apart on its own. Holy crap, that is one tight setup. Got a pretty sweet looking bar in there too. Well, this is kind of interesting here. Never really seen that. What the heck is going on here? Is that seal just worn out, or is the roller bearing pushed up? I'll just have to look at the fish and look at some diagrams and see how that seal is supposed to be. Well, folks, we're getting down there pretty far. A couple more minutes and we should have this thing torn down completely. Now, like I said in the previous videos, a few of these parts are off of an RM250. So the triple clamps, the subframe, side plates, all that stuff. But the forks are actually off an RMZ as well. They are the Showa SFF setup. So they're a spring fork. Pretty decent forks, but I'm really hoping they're in good enough shape to use when I rebuild them. You can see there's quite a bit of leaking going on there. Just Just hoping there's nothing damaged internally, but we'll see when I pull them apart. Now from here on out, it's pretty straightforward. All we have left surrounding the engine is the electronics, the pipe, the carburetor, shifter, kickstarter, and then just the motor mounts. Nice. Got some cut wires here. That looks like it's for the kill switch. Shoot, looks like a lot of these connectors are busted up on this harness. I would say the number one bolt that comes loose on a dirt bike for whatever reason is the kickstarter bolt. Let's see what the case is with this one. Yep, she's loose. Yeah, it's weird, I don't really know. So guys, definitely throw some blue Loctite on these kickstarter bolts. But the kickstarters like to get stuck on the splines too. So I guess if your bolt falls out, at least the kicker's not falling off. I'm gonna have to hammer this one off of here. That is crusty. Doubt that bolt's been out of there in like 10 or 15 years. Alright guys, we are all the way down to the frame. I always like to lay everything out just for the heck of it, so I can take a step back and see what kind of mess I made. So I have pretty much everything here. There's a couple things missing. If you guys can spot those, write them down below in the comment section. Now for all you guys doing the Team Prime bike build contest, now would be the perfect time to do your during video to show how far you went down with the bike. If you're going to be tearing the engine all the way apart like I am, you can show that too. Now your during video can be as simple as this, just like 10 seconds long, to show how far apart you went with the bike. But so far, here's what we have for the trash bin. Number plate was broken, just some wear parts like the chain, cable, grips, brake pads, and the handlebars are pretty trashed, but I'm sure this pile will continue to get bigger. Now I know some of you guys are probably on the fence about working on your own bike or even entering the bike build contest that I'm running because maybe you haven't worked on a bike before or you feel like you don't know what you're doing. But what I would say to that is get out in the garage, turn some wrenches, get some experience. That's how I learned. But obviously do your research, watch some videos, maybe get a service manual so you have a good idea of what you're trying to do. But biggest thing, get out there, have some fun, be patient with the learning process, and if you need anything to refer to, I have a whole slew of videos on exactly how to build up a bike. On this RM250 here, I literally documented every single thing, so all the info is there to build a bike exactly like this one here. And on top of that, I built that bike going through cancer, so you guys literally have no excuse. Now, if you would like more info on the Team Prime bike build contest, hit the link down below in the description. Now, another exciting thing I'm doing here on the channel is when this RM is all finished up, looking sweet and running like a dream, I will be giving it away completely free to one of you guys. Now, if you want more info on that, or you want to enter, once again, the link will be down below in the description. Now, keep in mind, you do have to be over 18 and in the United States, in the continental US. Now the reasons behind that is to ship it overseas or to like ship it to Hawaii. It's extremely expensive. I'm already doing something very generous for you guys. This is gonna be like a $5,000 bike when it's all finished up. I could be making you guys buy something to get entries into the bike or do a raffle with it. But instead, I'm giving it away completely free just because you guys have supported the channel so much. and I love helping people out. Now for you guys that want to complain about not being able to enter because you're under 18 or out of the US, stop your whining. I'm giving a bike away completely free, and all this content you see on the channel is free too. So I think you guys got to be pretty thankful. Now the next video you guys will see on the channel is of taking apart the rest of the engine. We're going to dive into that thing, see if there's any damage in the bottom end, and then separate a few more things with the forks, pull some stuff off the frame, the swing arm, wheels, brakes, and just a bunch of random odds and ends. We're gonna wrap up the video right here. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. You guys are the best, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Keep it prime.